Well guys, I have today off, so decided to go for a little hike. There's this little trail I drive by every day on the way to work and on the way home from work, and I always wanted to hike it. And so today I'm going for a hike. Actually, I'm towards the end of the hike. I'm on my way back, but this little spot I found, it's got a boardwalk here, and it's more or less, it walks through a marshy, swampy area the whole way. It's pretty cool. It's called the Russell Greenway Trail. It's hey Steve, I see you're watching here. It's in the Seymour Woodbridge line, and for the most part the trail's pretty well maintained. I mean, it's got this wonderful boardwalk here. It's kind of, you can see that there are houses off in the distance in a couple of spots, but it's not a bad little walk. When it turns into the Naugatuck East Trail, however, the Naugatuck East Trail is terribly maintained, and more or less this kind of fizzles off after a bit, and you no longer have this little boardwalk area. It turns into just a woods trail, and it gets worse and worse. And then you climb up a hill where you kind of have to guess where the trail is. You get to the top, there's a couple of very nice houses on either side, and it's just open woods for a touch, and then the downside of the other hill is just brush. It needs to be maintained. Woodford Land Trust, if you're watching this, not sure why you would be, but if you are, maintain the Naugatuck East side of this trail a little bit better, please. Or any scout troop that needs a project. There are definitely some boards on this walkway that could use some replacement. And every so often there's a couple of down trees and sticks, which not a big deal, but would be nice if they were removed. And I figured, since I'm out here for a hike today, and a lot of you people are at work, many of you can watch on your phones or a computer, you can come for a walk with me. Walk in the woods of Connecticut. This is one of the trees I was talking about. It's not down, it's a birch. And because of the root system being so marshy here, it's kind of just fallen off the trail. Luckily, it hasn't rained in 2 days or so, so I got a little bit of step zone there. And then we got this branch I had to pull out of the way at one point. I mean, it's not even really out of the way, but it's kind of hard to do too much better than that. But there's all these little tiny streams that come through here. And so more or less the boardwalk is just to keep you above that, and when it's been raining, above the floodplain, which you can see. I mean, I don't know how often you guys get out to walk in the woods. You see all these little tufts of grass? There. So when we're in a the wet season, or we've had a lot of rain, this whole area is wetland, and water swells up, ground becomes saturated, and only those little tufts of grass will be right at the water level, right where you can see. Actually, this one's real good, you can see what I'm talking about. So right here, where all this stuff is, water's going to come up to right about there. All that would normally be in the water floating, but the green stuff is what sticks up above the water when this whole area floods. This trail was made, or actually I'm not sure when this trail was made, but the person this trail was dedicated to died back in '65, I think it was. I only briefly looked at the little trail ahead, but when we make it back, we'll take a look there if anyone's still interested. There's a couple of spots here where I think this area, I'll show you a sec, see how that's kind of sticking up. I think this was a little more that way, and during Connecticut's had some really big storms this year. I think it floated towards me because the water is right over there. It's flowing in that direction. So if this area flooded, it would float this way, and that'd be why this is sticking up. It should be that way a little more. But yeah, not a bad little trail. Kind of an excessive amount of blue marks along the walkway, I guess. It's just kind of, I'm walking on wood. I'm not going to stray from the trail, but there's like blue mark, another blue mark I can see down there. And then when it starts being more of a woods trail, there are significantly less blue marks, and I find myself, instead of enjoying the nature, having my head on the swivel, specifically looking for blue marks. myself a little gimbal or something so that I can do this. So, I'm not sure data-wise what live streaming my hikes is going to do, but I'm not working another Friday the rest of the year, using my vacation days like this, so I can go out and do little hikes and stuff, little day trips. And I figure, why not? Oh, hey, this is what I was talking about earlier with some of these boards. Like, if you can see that, but it's got a lot of flex in it, and I'm not sure how much longer a lot of these boards will last. They look like they've been here a while. I'm also not sure how much this trail gets used, so it's kind of catch-22-ish. You know, we should maintain the trail, but if no one's going to use the trail, you're SOL. See, now this is interesting. Alright, so why is this interesting? You can see that there's flow coming this way, but it doesn't go off that way. It doesn't, like, there's almost like there's a spring right there at the base of that tree. And that spring is feeding this. But this is another spot I was talking about where trees have fallen down and people have clearly come through and broken limbs off to make it easier to move through. But no one's come through to really maintain in a while. Especially the Naugatuck end of this one. It turns into the Naugatuck Trail East. What's going on, Timmy? How you doing, Mr. Farmer? Tick count's pretty low today. I've only pulled off 7. And when I say pull off, I mean pulled off my pants and terminated. I don't count removing a tick unless I kill it. So, still doing my part. This is what I was talking about, where a couple of spots where, alright, I got a blue blaze there and I got a blue blaze on the ground. And I'm not on the boardwalk. It's just a little bit harder to find where I gotta go. I mean, I just walked this way a little while ago, so I know I gotta hook this way. But there's a couple little paths that go off in different directions from people walking to this trail from their houses. And so we're just getting, you know, some spots where it's worn in misleading directions. Come up to the little boardwalk area. This one's got a little bit more of water flow. Oh, so actually you can see what I was talking about earlier, if anyone's still watching from earlier, where little grass tufts in the water, and it comes right up to the bottom of the grass tufts. It's just another little marshy area where it wasn't flooded like this. This is like a whole little stream. With some decent flow. I don't know if there's any, I mean, it's kind of shallow for fish. But I got a couple of buddies that like to fish. If there's anything that could even remotely catch in this. There's evidence of, so there was a tornado actually hit Connecticut in this area earlier this year, and there's evidence all over the place of trees that just didn't make it. I mean, it's not as bad as Sleeping Giant, which for those of you who don't know is a state park down here in Connecticut, and Sleeping Giant got absolutely decimated. I mean, like, used to be forests, and now it's debris fields. Okay, so this part I'm not a huge fan of for this trail, because a lot of these boards, I mean, they're what, 2x8s, 2x6s, and some of them aren't that bad, and some of them sag worryingly so. I mean, I'm 200 pounds a person, so I'm not exactly light, but still worrisome. at times. So if I go for a swim, we're all going for a swim. First, we're gonna just look down at these little aquatic plants. Doing a little aquatic plant thing. I just like how they dance a little bit in the water. It's nice. Oh, yeah, that was one of the saggy boards. And I should have known. I mean, it looks saggy just looking at it. Stepped right on it. It's a bad life decision. Bad life decision. I actually do my best to kind of walk right down the middle and keep my weight on both boards at all times while doing this. Actually, let's take a spin right here. I'll just admire this. This little boardwalk I'm out here in. Yeah, not running on this, Albie. This is a surefire way to fall in the swamp, and well, I'll do that while playing airsoft, and I'll do it for work when they're paying me. Leisure time, I'm not going to jump in a swamp. I mean, some repairs have been made to this boardwalk, as I was saying, but there are definitely spots that need a little extra TLC. Something pooped on my boardwalk. Alright, it's not my boardwalk, but still. I'm currently, there's this little trail in, on the Seymour Woodbridge line. It's called the Russell Greenway. I drive by it every day on the way to work. I've never stopped and just... Today whoa, that one was soft. That board was soft. Today I decided to just stop and go for a walk. And considering how I was in this neck of the woods yesterday and pulled off 100 ticks, 7 is not a bad count for today. Good. Water's moving at a good clip right here. Good clip. Probably a foot deep. Maybe 2? No more than 2. And then this is just about coming up on the end of the trail. It's kind of how it starts. I was a little leery when I first started this. If I'm like, I'm going to be walking through raspberry bushes and all sorts of cruddy plants. But no, I mean, you had the whole boardwalk back there that you can still see just a little bit of, I think. And the blue dots. And it's really not a bad little trail. And again, I went as far as I could on the, till the Naugatuck Trail got to a point where it was just stupid to keep going. And that was actually where I picked up most of the ticks, was on that end. And I highly recommend it. Especially this little short spot. I mean, it's about, as far as I went about 2 miles out, so the boardwalk's probably half to a third of that, so 0.75 to a mile. I forgot about this. This section's not so bad. It's got the longer boards, but if it sags, I only hit the ground like a few inches below. Whereas the other spot, when it sags, there's a concern of falling a couple feet into the water. It's real nice out here. It's a wonderful temperature. It's like 49, 51 degrees out. It's nice. And again, another little waterway. It's interesting, this one's going opposite the direction of the other one, which makes me think that it kind of does like a zigzag thing where it loops through and then over this way, back off that way. don't see a lot of paths like this anymore, where people actually go through and lay down planks. A lot of the trails in Connecticut I've been on are just, they go wherever the ground takes them in terms of it being dry and decent tree spacing. But this one, they like decided, nah, we're going through the swamp, all through the swamp as fast as we can. And they just sort of made this little meandering boardwalk. So this whole area is, I assume it's actually wetlands, but it's definitely this whole area is a floodplain. You can just tell by the species that are here and how how there's little grass tufts on little plateau, little towers, little stands. These guys, indicative of floodplains and wetlands, where you get it's raised up, about a hand's width, raised up above the rest of the ground. Ooh, almost took a header. Board's a little bit more spaced out here, and I tried to walk down the center again. There we go. Sorry about that. Jumped off the thing on the phone, thought I rotated. So, we're almost done here. That's what road is that? I don't know. This is 67 right here, but this is the end of the trail. Come up some nice stairs. Actually pretty well made with the boards and the gravel filling. Here's my car, still intact. And for those of you who are wondering, this is the Russell Greenway in memorial of Peter M. Hunting, 1941 to 1965. Trail maintained by the Woodbridge Land Trust, East-West Blue Trail. And apparently there are no longer maps. Just erase that. But yeah, so this goes until it turns into the East Naugatuck Trail, somewhere way out there. And I actually went that far, and Naugatuck Trail needs a lot of maintenance. It's rapidly being overgrown. But with that, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'm gonna go about my day. See ya. Does this sign say anything else? Nope, same jazz.